Hello, people. I'm Jaby KOAY, joined by Achara KIRK.
What's up?
We just finished watching episode 7 of Scam 1992. This one is called Patutu Dalal Street Ka Dariya. That's a joke I made on our watch along. So Achara's not laughing quite as hard as she did earlier.
I'm not laughing quite as hard because I already heard this joke, but it's super cute. She did have a good
chuckle earlier. Anyway, this IMDb one-liner, it says, Venkataraman gets to know that there are multiple banks involved in the money scam and that the scam is much bigger in stature than when it appears on the surface. RBI installs an investigating committee. What are the findings?
Okay, well, that clarified things for me because when we were watching the episode, I was kind of like, wait, hold up. Is it that a lot of people or a lot of banks were involved, or is it just HARSHAD? But it seems like they're trying to pin it all on him.
On MEHTA. Harsha MEHTA.
Yeah, to like make him the scapegoat, as you were saying.
There's a lot of big ideas floating around, all these numbers, these legs of the government and companies and whatnot.
Yeah.
These huge concepts. And what's important is that the show never forgets to let you know Harsha MEHTA's emotional state and what he's going through. Because while you might not have a full grasp of all the intricate details of what's going on, because I know I certainly have moments where I'm like, I have a vague understanding of what they're talking about, enough to just keep going with the show. What's important is the emotional state of each of the characters and how they are interacting with each other, how they feel about each other, how one character, in this investigation unit feels about Harshad MEHTA, how this journalist feels about Harshad MEHTA and what he's doing.
Yeah, you're right.
And so even though you might not fully get all the ideas, you're certainly getting all the emotion, and that's important. That's crucial in a show like this. It makes it more human and relatable, and I think that it goes back to stuff like what Aaron Sorkin says. He goes, your audience doesn't need to know what the dialogue means necessarily. The characters need to know what the dialogue means. That's what's important. It needs to feel believable for your audience, and so I think that they're doing a very successful Aaron Sorkin type job here, and I really like that about it. One of the things I was saying, I think in the previous, maybe even this one, is that they're trying to pin it all on Harshad MEHTA.
Yes.
And he is basically the scapegoat, which is kind of unfortunate. It's like all these companies are benefiting, and it's just the fact that they're no longer able to conceal it, and they're all trying to save face. And so he is the easiest donkey to pin the tail on.
Yeah, and not only that, but there's that small group, well, not even a small group, because it's like a sizable group of very powerful people who are literally like, their one goal is to take Harshad down. They're all like, oh, we're going to uncover everything and like make him the bad guy, so that he's no longer a problem for us.
Right.
So like he's got everyone kind of coming for him, and then at the end of the episode we find out that now they're getting the CBI involved and they're gonna send their best guy, and then they end it on that, and then cue the like fun funky music, which is like, who is this guy? Like clearly he's someone who is very formidable, and Harshad should be worried.
Yeah, this was another shorter episode, by the way. It was about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish that they gave Harshad MEHTA like almost another B or C story. They kind of did in this one with the golf element, where he's trying to, step up his game so he can have dialogue. It's all about the room that you're in, right?
Right.
It's all about who you can schmooze with, who you can socialize with. And so, you need to know how to play guitar if you want to be around other guitarists. He needs to know how to play golf if he wants to be around these wealthy golfers.
Well, he's always been really good at kind of making those opportunities, because remember in that one episode where he made a connection with that guy because he found out that he was taking a flight, and then he got on that flight and sat next to him, and so I felt like this was a kind of a callback to that episode, but here he was called out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're seeing Harshad MEHTA kind of, at least at one point, kind of lose it. He's like he's feeling all the walls closing in, and his behavior is changing. Maybe he's got that enthusiasm that's usually there, but it's pushed way down in favor of this sort of snappiness that he's having at people and having to respond to people kind of curt and short-tempered just a little bit, but he's keeping his cool, he's keeping it together, but that it's not all right. It's not quite the same as it has been in the earlier days of his career with this stuff, and that's all cool. I kind of wish that we just saw more of him somehow, some way. If they gave him something else that he was wrestling with in his life, not that he doesn't have enough, but maybe something with his wife even more. Like I just wish that there was just more going on there, because his wife only comes in just as another hassle, right? I wish they just gave her gave them more to do, because it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot there. I think that might be the weakest part of the story, unfortunately, is the relationship with his wife, because she is so ancillary to the entire thing. She just comes in when she needs to enhance a smile or enhance a negative mood. It's what it seems like.
But like, I really enjoy their relationship though, like the way it's portrayed. I feel like, you know, the way that they're acting it seems very sweet. It seems very real. But like you said, you know, you could cut her out and
the story would be the exact same.
It's the same.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm looking for, is something else there. And maybe they're giving us exactly what happened in real life, but I feel like, you know, you can take artistic licensing, because a lot of this dialogue is no one knows what was actually said in these rooms half of the time. Like the way that, you know, some of these bankers are talking, it's like they sound like supervillains. That's not how that dialogue went down. I'm at least 75% sure of it. I'm sure it was, you know, constructed a little bit differently, that dialogue in real life, because natural conversation is naturally different. And so I would have liked it if they took some artistic licensing to give the wife just something more to do that anchored him, or just, I don't know. She's
like offered him more support, maybe like made her a little bit more of an important character in his life, at least.
Yeah, it just ultimately serves the same beast, which is I want more of him. He's the main character of the show, and in the last episode and this episode, he's been more pushed to the background in favor of all these investigating teams who are trying to attack him.
Yeah, you know? But I'm sure it's all gonna come round, you know.
No, of course. It's just that I think he's a wonderful actor.
He is, yeah.
And his character is very interesting, and we got to see a lot of him in the rise. We should see a lot of him in his struggle in the trenches, more than we are seeing, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, what you were kind of touching on is really interesting with his character, because we are starting to see a little bit of the cracks appearing in his persona.
Yeah.
You know, because like his brother Ashwin made a really good point. Like, after he delivers that rousing speech about how he's the big bull and he takes credit, you know, he's like, yes, that article was written about me. And then his brother kind of chastises him and is all like, oh yeah, you're not even asking why did the strikes go on for longer. Even two idiots like me and the other guy can figure it out. You're the genius and you didn't see it. And it's like, yeah, he didn't see it because he's so blinded by his pride, which we see as each episode goes on. He's just getting more and more prideful. That can lead to his downfall. But then he has that moment with the guy at the golf course. You see him kind of take what that guy says and then tries to apply it. Because I think in many situations, if someone said to you, hey, stick to your lane, like stick to what you're used to, you might feel disheartened and be like,
well, not me, but yeah.
Yeah, and not you. I think you're kind of similar to Harshad MEHTA. Like,
I wouldn't commit a scam.
Your
but yes.
personality, like you're someone who wouldn't take no for an answer and you would try and find a different way. Not everyone is like that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people would kind of get that feedback and be like, well, shit, I'm never getting in here. There's no other way. I guess I should just don't go chasing waterfalls and just stick to the rivers and the lakes that I'm used to, TLC. But he kind of has this little smile, and it's his smile that I enjoy so much in the show, because he has that kind of little smirk when he starts getting a good idea or something, and he's like, oh, I just have to like learn to play their game. And then he's like convinced that he's gonna get it, and so I think he's gonna try one last hurrah,
a Hail Mary attempt,
at something, because he's thinking, you know, he's always thinking.
I do wonder how far that's gonna get him. That's all I'm thinking about at this point, because he's got that smile on his face as he's playing golf at the end of the episode. I'm like, what can you possibly do at this point, guy? You're in a corner, and like, I know that a cat in a corner is going to start swinging its claws, but like, really, what do you have left? What are your options? Because you're really pinned down in this like hardcore pincer between all of the forces against you.
And they want to pin it on him. That's the thing. And they're going to find a way, because everyone just wants to save face at this point.
Yeah.
And well, not everyone, but like, and then the other people are all like, we just want to get him out of the picture.
Yeah, there's two things that are interesting. One is the fact that the government is trying to temper the speed at which this is all getting out to the public, and like trying to slow it down. Because there's other things at play. There's other games at play, politically speaking, and that's going to get in the way of it. It's sort of strange how these things that don't seem to affect most people, the stock market. Like, most people are not dealing with that. You know, they're selling fruit, they're working at McDonald's, they're cutting hair, whatever your daily grind might be.
Yeah.
You're working at a mall. Like, most people are not interacting with the stock market, but it can crash because of a handful of folks who are selfish, and it can devastate everybody's lives. And it's so strange, that kind of fallout. And so the government trying to slow that down kind of makes sense, because it's like it's not just about the self-interest, but about the economical impact that it might have should that get out, because confidence goes down.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing. It's like money isn't even real. That's the weirdest lesson I had to learn in reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, is that money is just an idea.
It's a concept.
It's just something we agree on. And so when confidence goes down, it hurts everybody. The price of bread and milk goes up, as the saying goes. And so there was that. And then the journalism aspect, where she's jealous about not Times India, but like the news.
With the other
company.
newspaper,
She was mad that like they got the story first. I'm like, see, that right there says a lot. It's not just about this noble effort. It's also about you're trying to do your thing for your newspaper, for your job, so that you can elevate yourself. You're pushing someone down so you can elevate. There's always something selfish inside there, and that's what got me about her when they had that meeting. When she was like telling him about the wine and saying, just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
It's like, you holier than thou, lady. Okay, look, I know what your game is too. So I know that you are about your own benefit as well at the end of on some level. It can't be helped.
Well, because she's also a very proud person, and she feels like a certain amount of investment in the story. She says, I called like 100 people.
Yeah.
I didn't even get the scoop.
Yeah,
and
because
so
because it's her ego.
Yeah, it hurt her ego. She feels kind of entitled. Like, she broke the story first, and then someone else picked it up, and she's like, God damn it, she wants it, and she's like a very fiery, powerful, sassy lady.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get, journalism has its place. It's very important.
It is,
et cetera. That's why, like, I personally have zero interest in taking on jobs or professions where my whole endeavor is to take someone down. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, at the end of the day, you're taking someone down to elevate yourself. No matter which way you slice it, that is happening.
I mean, I don't know about that fully. Like, you hear so many things about journalists breaking news on stuff that, has been ongoing for so long and has been detrimental to so many people. Like,
did you see
when
her
they
reaction?
investigated the Catholic Church and all that.
Did you see her reaction when she saw the paper and saw that this paper got it out first?
Well, that was ego.
Yeah, it's like, instead of going, well, I'm glad somebody got it out, she's like, no,
of course not.
I investigated. How come they didn't tell me? Like, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not saying she's a bad person. Let's just get that clear, okay? But it's like that episode of Friends with Joey and Phoebe, and Phoebe Joey telling Phoebe, like, there's no such thing as a selfless deed. Everything is selfish on some level, and it's like, you can't disprove that. That is like hard to argue. There's no such thing as a selfless deed. And so overall, I enjoyed the episode. I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah,
and I think it's well done. I just wish that we got more of Harshad's. I don't know what's going on with him. He's a human being. Like, he's dealing with colossal issues. It's so, I'm sure there's more going on in his life that this story could have explored, but maybe it's just trying to get it as tight as possible.
There's so many players in this game right now, and like another one is about to be introduced.
I don't know. It's just like I have mixed feelings, because you watch something like it's a totally different show, but The Sopranos. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff in there, I guess, is considered fat, but there's a lot of stuff in there that's just sort of that human element, of just like the day-to-day, the mundane stuff that you'd normally overlook, that was sort of introduced by Tarantino, that stuff that you normally just take out. But that's sort of intriguing in a way, because it's that stuff that makes us people and makes us relatable.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that this particular episode, and maybe the last one, could have done with just a little bit more. They're shaving off every inch of fat that they can, but it's making me miss having more of him. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right.
So even if you gave me some mundane stuff with him, just to show, like, how he's dealing with reality in another element, in another way, even if it's something stupid like him just, like, trying to get away from all of it and sitting at a park and just trying to breathe. and seeing some children play and that giving him some hope or something like that.
Or you wanted to see more of like a moment of vulnerability?
Sure.
But didn't that kind of happen when he received the phone call from his friend who's all like, I invested all that money. And then...
No, he was defensive. I mean, he was able to...
But you saw that his feathers were ruffled, though.
Sure.
You wanted more
I just
stuff
want,
like that.
I guess so. Maybe it would have been superfluous and repetitious, and I admit that. I just like the dude. I like the character, and I like the acting, and I just want more of him.
Right.
Because I'm feeling a little bit lost in the weeds with the other stuff going on. And I understand it's all going to coalesce.
Right.
I can feel it coalescing as the show goes on. I'm not lost. I just want more of him. That's
because he's just so compelling to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a stupid, petty thing. But anyway, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that conversation. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
Achara KIRK.
Peace out.